So last time, everyone is shocked at Horus's revelation that he married Kimmie and that not only is she their new mommy, but also their new boss. Yes, Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black is back for season 2. And if you want to discuss it, stay tuned. Hey, y'all, it's Letitia with Lighten Up Letitia, and I'm here with our recap. We're back with Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black. We're here for season 2, and the first episode is called Crowned in Beauty. So let's get started, okay? So they are still in the hospital room where Horus is not really doing well, but he is rejoicing in the fact that he got the best of his family, okay? He is sticking it to them. He was so happy to see all of their shocked faces, and he has explained the will and is reassuring the ladies, that's Rain and Kimmie and Sylvie, that they will be well and that he will take care of them, okay? But Kimmie wants to make sure in writing that they are also protected. So he asks about Angel, and nobody knows where Angel is right now. Now, Kimmie said, now about that boss thing, okay? He was like, don't worry, I'll teach you everything you need to know. And by the way, I want you to go to the house. You have a butler and you have a driver. Their driver is now going to be Alex, but they don't trust Alex because they know that Alex is rolling with Jules. So Horus gives them their very first lesson in saying it is not about trust. You don't trust any of these people. However, what is important is leverage, and you need to use these people in order to get the most leverage. Now, moving on, everyone else, of course, they are still reeling from the announcement that Kimmie is in their life now, and Roy blames Varney. Now it's so funny. So, because why did Norman say he had to bring up his wife? He was like, my wife dies and he gets married. He just had to say something about his wife being dead, child. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so Varney explains to him that he can appoint anyone he wants to, and he decided to appoint Kimmie as CEO. And Jules wants them to go to a house and discuss this further. So Rain comes out to get Alex because Horus wants him. Jules tries to protest, but she reminds them that they now work for Kimmie. And Kimmie comes out and establishes the fact that she is Mrs. Bellerie, okay? And don't you forget it. And she commences to put all of them in their places, including Olivia, who tried to act all like she was holier than thou about hearing the M and F-er. And Ray was like, now, ain't these your kids right here? She was like, yeah, unfortunately. She was like, then I know that you've seen and heard, or I know you heard way worse than that. And we know that she's seen worse than that. So then here comes Mallory trying to be all prim and proper. Oh, hello, I'm Mallory. Girl, she knows exactly who you are. And then Charles was like, who is it? Don't I know you from somewhere? Didn't I see you at the club when you shaking your behind at the club? And she was like, yeah, but didn't I see you at the club? Coming out of the bathroom, one of the male dancers, moving that booger sugar off your nose. He was like, oh, okay, I like this, B. She was like, I got your B. Now, moving on. Like I said, she put everybody in their place. And Kimmie said, F all that anyway. Varney, Horus needs to see you. Now, Roy and Mallory are leaving. They're driving home. It's the first time I think we've ever seen them driving in the exact same car. And we find out that Mallory is a brokey, okay? She only in this family because she need this money, honey. And she ain't leaving at this point because if something happens, she'll lose all of her shares, child. So anyway, we don't know much about Mallory's background, but we do know that she is like a foster. She came out of foster care. And she got attached to this family very early, and now she just stuck, child. Anyway, they're arguing like they always do, and she goes to taunt him about the fact that Roy and Horus were messing around with the same woman, and she still cannot get in her mind that she still wants to know all about Kimmie. She wants to know what Roy is doing. These people, I'm like, they are the most toxic couple ever. Like, why are they still together? Anyway, Roy still wants to blame Varney about this entire thing, but she blames Roy. And she said that if Horus dies, they're going to be stuck with Kimmie. Now, back at the hospital, Horus tells Varney to add those additional people to his will ASAP and to tell Kimmie everything. Now, Kimmie makes her first mistake asking a question in front of Varney, and he dismisses Varney with the quickness. Then he chastises Kimmie to tell her, look, don't be asking me no crazy questions in front of other people. You sit back and listen. I ain't got much time to giving you this schooling, but You won't need to listen, and I don't have time to be babysitting your feelings, baby. So sit back, listen, and get it together, okay? He said, do not trust these people, but verify everything. So what he don't know, or what Varney doesn't know, is that I have three other firms that are always going to confirm the information that he gives me. So you do the exact same thing. Do not trust him, but confirm it with these other people. Ask all the questions you need to. Write it down if you must. And get these people together. Do not let them catch you slipping. So she said, okay, well, I have one more confession to make. She talks about the fact that basically she stole that car, and that car had somebody's father in it, or father-in-law in it, that was a gangster out there. He says, listen, don't worry about it. I'll handle it. You just go find Angel and go ahead and get to the house. Now, Varney immediately leaves that meeting and calls Charles to let him know he needs to go over to Roy's house because Jules wants to meet them there. Charles is not serious at all, and he said he is not trying to go there, but he is trying to go out tonight. I mean, like, what else is new? Now, back at the hospital, now, Reins' booty is disfigured, but she has been cleared for to be discharged. So they are ready to go. Kimmie is leery about Alex still and is questioning everything under the sun, but Rain convinces her that basically she just needs to trust the process. They get in the car. They get to questioning Alex about who he is, his whereabouts, what he wants from them. Don't you work for Jules? All this sort of thing, whatever. And they got into this really hilarious conversation about the fact that they was calling him an N, right? And Sylvie was like, he's Japanese. They was like, no, he an N because Jules only messes with the brothers, you know. So when they asked him, of course, he says he's Japanese and black. So why did she call him Jabba Jigga? Anyway, Kimmie then told him that she heard him when he was at Delinda's, and they were trying to speak in code about the fact that, you know, they were verifying that Delinda is indeed unalive and out of here. But we find out that Body is still amongst us, but she's in the hospital. And they were trying to speak in code because they didn't want to say these things in front of Sylvie. Now, when Rain heard about Body, she started then asking about Dega, you know, the one that was pumping that stuff in her behind. And you can see right here that she is about to be on some revenge stuff. Now, moving on, Olivia and Norman are sitting outside of Roy and Mallory's house waiting for the rest of the family. And he figures out that Olivia was the one who robbed Horus, or tried to rob Horus. And we find out here that she is a brokey too. Child, she didn't gamble away all her money, and she didn't drink away all her money. We find out she is a serious drunk out here. But anyway, her money is pretty much almost gone. And she finds, and we also find out that that bag trick, when she told that boy last season to get in the bag, she learned it from Horus. So truly, it seems like they are the actual couple that should have been. And you know how I feel about it. Quiet as kept, child. I truly believe that both Roy and Charles belong to Norman and not Horus. But moving on. The rest of the family starts to come to the home. Charles does make it over there. And then finally, Varney shows up as well. They get to talking, and he's trying to explain to them that Horus added Kimmie, of course, but Rain and Sylvie also, and Angel to his will. And they all want to contest this, but Horus has crossed all of his T's and dotted all of his I's. And found out that he diluted their shares by 10%. Each. Child, you know they was living. We later on find out the equivalent is like $8 million. They get all up in arms. They decide to leave. Mallory is hollering about wanting to know everything about Kimmie, and Roy wants to talk to Jules in private to let him know, to ask, first of all, if he's the one that hooked up Horus with Kimmie. And then second of all, he is worried about getting him another woman in there. Child, he wants another woman to come into the office, some hood girl to come into the office to be his plaything. And not only that, because he just can't help but to try to make Mallory's life a living hell, he says also, get rid of that dude Calvin. Okay? So Calvin will not be driving Mallory. Now, meanwhile, child, at the jail, we see Officer Traxon, who sees that Angel is being locked up. So, of course, he calls Jules to tell him. Now we see young Felicia child, which is, in my opinion, body 2.0, and she driving and jamming, and Mallory gives her a call and asks her about Kimmie. But she ain't talking. She was like, girl, if you ain't got the money in my hand, I ain't trying to hear what you're saying. Mallory is on this call insulting her, telling her that you need to tell me this information about Kimmie. Was like, girl, if I ain't got the money in hand first, you ain't got it. I ain't talking, girl. Get off my phone. And hung up. Okay. Now, meanwhile, back at the mansion, the girls arrive and they are marveling at the beautiful mansion itself. And they see all the staff standing there looking all stoic and crazy. But they're introduced to everybody there. The butler, the chef, security, all that sort of thing. And including a young guy that takes care of the stables named Glenn, who was making eyes at young Sylvie. Okay, this is for foreshadowing, I'm certain. Anyway, they also talk about some Black history there. There's a little shack that's on the little hill next to the mansion, and they tell the story about the fact that this was Horus's, I think, great-grandfather's home that he built there, whatever, and that this, the land and the home used to belong to them when they were enslaved. So what a beautiful way to bring in Black history. And also they mentioned that the entire family lives on this road. I just thought about something. The fact that the entire compound is not behind gates, that's kind of weird to me, but it is what it is. Moving on. Charles is sitting trying to find something to drink, and Varney walks in just like he is man, like he lived there and all that sort of thing. And he keeps trying to explain to Charles that this money thing is very serious and that he needs to learn to buckle down. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to afford this lifestyle that he has. But Charles is not thinking about that. He like, listen, I ain't trying to hear about that, all that money junk, whatever. I'm trying to go out tonight. And right now I'm trying to get it in. You want to come with me? Let's go. If not, go ahead and leave. So why is Varney trying to act like he playing hard to get? I'm not doing it. He was like, why did my dumb ass keep falling for this? And of course he goes in the bedroom and gets it in with Charles because he just cannot help himself. Child, Lord have mercy. Next thing we know, we see his little bare booty in the screen. He kissing on Charles. It was very girl-like. It was like we would see a girl doting like this. But anyway, he laying on Charles' chest. And Varney's all in love and wants to be all lovey-dovey. And Charles, he don't give a damn. He is super dismissive like he always is, which causes Varney to get upset. He done got dressed, stormed out. And he runs right into who? Roy. Child. Then we get into the next episode, which is called When the Tables Turn. And I love how they just pick up exactly where you left off. He runs right into Roy, and Roy is like, what did I just hear? Now here go Varney hemming and hawing and carrying on, talking about, I was just telling Charles about the money or whatever. He was like, no. I heard what I heard. But anyway, Charles comes out. Roy is like, whatever, y'all discussing, I ain't trying to hear this. And he leaves out, whatever. Then Varney turns on Charles, is like, did you do this on purpose? Did you call Roy? Are you trying to set me up? He's paranoid. And Charles is like, listen, we should have been out in the first place. He said, but no, I didn't do any of that. So Varney gets heated again. He decides to leave, goes out to the garage where he parked his car and sees that his tire has been slashed. And he, of course, starts hollering and screaming about the fact that Roy, this effort did this to me, blah, blah. And Roy comes from behind the car and was like, what you say? You talking about me? Lord have mercy. So then he decides he, as in Roy, wants to start blackmailing Varney. He's like, oh, I got your secret, basically. And if you want me to keep your secret, I'm about to make you my B. And he proceeds to not only tell him that, but to make Varney say, I'm your B. And several times to the point where he was screaming it and hollering it. But we saw a side of Varney that we have never seen before. That man was completely out of character. He was growling. He was huffing and puffing and looking all crazy. I thought he was going to beat Roy down to the ground. Ooh. Back at the mansion, the girls are admiring the house. James is giving them the grand tour, and they're marveling at their rooms and just can't believe basically their newfound luck because they have never had anything like this before, seen anything like this before. And James proceeds to hand Kimmie her black card to go shopping for some things for her to go to the office, and also gave her info for her bank account. Child, Rain asked about the mall, but James was like, no ma'am, I think what would suit you better is for you to shop at the boutiques. Okay, and Alex will take you. So Kimmie starts doubting again. Rain has to talk her off the ledge again because they are just not used to having this. And guess what else? They're also still thinking like scammers, talking about we're going to do this and we're going to put some cash to the side. Child, not understanding that this man is freely giving them this life. But moving on, I understand they have not been able to trust people for years, and it's very difficult for them to start now. Mallory calls Jules for a new driver, requested Calvin, but Jules was like, no, can do. But I'm sending you a new one right now. So then Roy comes in. First, Mallory was like, first you want to accuse me of sleeping with Varney. Now you want to accuse me of sleeping with Calvin. But girl, one, you were sleeping with Calvin. And second of all, Varney, you may not have been sleeping on what you was trying to, girl. Don't do that. But then Roy comes back with the old gossip session with the tea, talking about well, I know you ain't sleeping with Varney, because guess who is? Varney sleeping with my brother. Did you know that? It was such a gossip session. It was such a hot mess. And they together are very hilarious. But at the same time, they are just so ridiculously toxic. Okay. Anyway, they go on like they usually do, where they try to taunt each other. And she was like, well, I'm about to go drive. He said, what happened the last time you was driving? And so he brings up the fact that she hit Miss Ina, aka Norman's wife. So anyway, she goes outside. She says, I'll just drive myself. Where she now meets Andy, who was assigned to drive her. As a police officer that was hired by Jules to go ahead and drive her. But she refuses to get in the car with him, tells him to move, and drives on. He calls Jules, of course, and he was like, well, just go ahead and follow her. So then Traxon called Alex to verify his assignment. Are you really stuck being a driver now? Yep. And it's revealed in that conversation that Traxon and Alex owe Jules as well. So Traxon tells Alex that Angel is locked up. And then Jules called Alex while he was on the phone and asked about his loyalty. And you will find that every time somebody talks to Alex, every time Alex talks to somebody, he's loyal to them. He's loyal to them. He's loyal to them. So he's loyal to no one except for himself. Anyway, he wants to know what Kimmie is doing. And of course, Jules starts out with the threats. But he said, listen, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. He hangs up with Jules, and Kimmie is right there standing there. He doesn't lie, though. He tells her that he was talking to Jules, and basically, like, they in this together. They all trying to get out of this life. They want out of this shit. So they decide they're getting ready to go to, he's going to take them to go shopping. Now, back at the hospital, Judge Harold visits Horus. And Horus confronts him about the fact that he and Norman were laundering money through the club for that Daniel Lakeland guy. And he demanded that Harold call Daniel because they don't really fool with each other. And so they're talking on the phone. Horus confronts Lakeland about the club situation and told him that his new wife made a mistake with that carjacking. And he gonna need that information to go away. So he said, okay, I'll make it go away. Horus is very adamant about the fact that Kimmie is very important to his plan and that she is off limits. Now, Daniel agrees, but he was like, yeah, but my wife is going to want somebody. And quickly, Harold says that there was some gangster kid that was caught with the car. And so they were like, okay, we'll give that kid over to Harold. Over to Daniel Lakeland. Not knowing that who he was releasing is going to be Angel. But part of me is wondering, though, even though I know he's sick, I kind of feel like he still should have known that the person with the car was Angel, or might be Angel, because Kimmie has already mentioned that Angel went out to take care of the car situation. So I feel like both of them should have known that Angel probably was in jail and got caught with the car. Anyway, was that Horus asked Harold, hey, how do you even know Kimmie? Or do you know Kimmie? And you know Harold, he always does the lie first. He lies first and then he tries to come back because they keep pressing him. So he does admit that Kimmie came before him and he sentenced her to that club with Jules, but he promises that he never touched her. But Horus is like, your days are numbered. Now get out of my face. Now, meanwhile, Mallory, where did she drive? She drove her behind over to the You Can Stay Here motel to talk to Felicia. And meanwhile, Andy is reporting this information to Jules. Now, Felicia answers with her hands out like, give me my money. And she counts it up. Then she tells her about Kimmie, about the fact that Jules is their pimp, about the fact that he runs the club and that they all owe Jules. They work for him. He takes most of the money. And then she brought up the judge and how that's how they all got sentenced to the club in the first place. So, she even tells her about the fact that the reason why Sylvie got brought in is because Kimmie was acting up and Jules wanted to teach her a lesson. And then when she asked Felicia about Angel, she didn't want to talk about it because she was like, girl, you ain't give me that much money. But she does admit that basically they started beating on Angel and everything, and some old man came in and saved him. Now, she verified that it was Horus that came in, and then she decided to leave, telling that girl that she smelled like she wanted to be alone. I swear, Mallory is so nasty and so rude. And when she went outside, she spotted that Andy was sitting out there with his big ass truck, right? Walks over to him, snatches his phone, and tells Jules to meet her at the office. Now, Alex is taking the girls out shopping. They shopping to their heart's content out here. And Horus called and asked about Angel. Then told her to come see him for some additional instructions. She said he really didn't sound good in here. Sylvie suggests that some things that she has seen online, that there was a place in Thailand that treats cancer and they have a really high rate of healing. And so she wanted to tell him about that. So at the jail, Jules goes to visit Angel, telling him he's in trouble because of the car situation. And Angel is not talking. He's just like, I'm requesting a lawyer. He brings up the fact that the Angel is not a citizen. And Jules tries to threaten him to talk by showing him a picture of Yolanda and his baby. And wants to know everything about what Horus has going on, what Kimmie has going on. And he still won't talk. So he's like, oh, so your kid doesn't mean anything to you? Why did Angel come back with, but what does yours not mean anything to you? You know, your daughter, Tiffany, ain't she 10? He was like, I'm not scared of you no more. You know, I got the power and you don't want to piss me off. I was like, okay, yes, Angel. But the one who got pissed off was Jules' child, because he called Traxon in there and said, go handle your business and go show me the pictures of what you do to that baby. I was like, oh, Lord. And of course, Angel can't stand it. He breaks his whole hard exterior and started begging Jules. And Jules like, no, you did too much. Now you stepped overboard, threatening my family. And he left out. I'm like, Angel, you never let him see you sweat. And also, if you're going to have a threat of that kind, then baby, I'm going to need you to have some backup for it, okay? Back to the girls. They're at the boutique. They're getting the 5-star treatment. Kimmie is still skeptical about everything. Ray reminds her that she has to be fired when she goes into that office, okay? Girl, why was she in there checking price tags? You got a whole black card. Just stop the madness. Anyway, Reins' old ignorant ass started talking about getting 2 of each of everything, one to keep and then one to sell. See what I'm saying? Still, they got the scammer attitude. I'm like, they're really going to have to unlearn a lot of things. So then they continue to shop, and then they decide to go to the bank, where they find out that Kimmie has an account of $1.5 million in a checking and $1.7 million in a savings account. Why again? Oh, ignorant Rain talking about some, okay, we'll just take all of it in small bills. Girl, what? First of all, it's not your money. And second of all, girl, shut your ignorant ass up. Like, you sound real crazy, and just stop the madness. This is for real. She got a real job to do. Kimmie does. She can't just take this man's money and live to tell about it. What is wrong with you? Anyway, Kimmie stopped all the madness, but she did open an account for both Rain and Sylvie and put $500,000 in each one of them. And Rain is very grateful for that. Now, Alex comes in to tell her that Angel is in jail and that he went down for the car situation. So she calls to tell Horus about it. And this is where he realizes that he just made that call to take out Angel. So he hangs up quickly, tries to stop it, where they pan to Angel, who's being released, and Traxton tells him to go ahead, be careful out there. He's walking down the street, gets to the bus stop when a car rolls by and starts popping off. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, then somebody jumped out of the car, took a picture of Angel, and Angel is laid down, eyes open, with everybody else who got hit. And that was the end of the episode, too. Whew. So if you want to know what's next, make sure you stay tuned and make sure you are joining our panel discussions along with VKJ, Monique 69 Ways, Tika Deshawn, and Lawrence. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, holla!